Dr. Hassan Abbas. He is chair of the Department of Regional and Analytical Studies at the College of International Security Affairs, National Defense University, and Dr. Jack Riley, Vice President and Director, National Security Research Division of the RAND Corporation. What we will do is we'll have a couple of presentations. We will have a couple of presentations, and then we will proceed. We'll have a coffee break at some point after the presentation, and then we'll take it from there. So welcome, everyone, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hassan.
Introduce themselves. All right, welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. And can everyone hear the translation? Please raise your hand. You're all good? Excellent. I should speak on this? Okay, good. So thank you again. My task is to set the stage by giving you a perspective on policing and law enforcement within Iraq in a regional context. And I still, okay, you can all hear, right? So that I'll start with setting the stage by regional context and what I have seen within Iraq as regards the performance, the activities of the Iraqi police. So first a disclaimer, all that I say is based on my personal research. I have traveled from Baghdad to Karbala and Najaf. Part of my work has been on Hashd al-Shabi. I've traveled with them in some cases, interviewed them, interviewed other people, went on the other side, close to the ISIS areas as well previously. So a lot of what I will share with you today is based on my own first-hand research. Secondly, I'm a former police chief. I'm a proud American, but I also have my roots from Pakistan. I was a police chief in Pakistan many years ago, 20 years ago. So a lot of what I say is based on my practitioner's experience as a police officer. And then my 20 years of work in academia and as a practitioner, I teach law enforcement, intelligence and military officers from across the world, including United States officers. Another disclaimer, I'll tell you my bias up front, which I think is the core link to this. I think police and civilian law enforcement is always the first line of defense. In states, countries, regions where there are issues of terrorism, crime, insurgency, I personally believe it happens because the first line of defense is either weak or it fails. When it fails, then things go into the political realm, it goes into the military realm, and a major flaw in international approach has been that we have always militarized issues in terms of looking at solutions from a purely military perspective. And that is problematic because when you approach an issue through a military lens, the respondents also take up arms thinking of this as a military conflict. So first and foremost, be clear, what do we mean by police and civilian law enforcement? When I travel, and as I mentioned, I've traveled maybe more than a dozen times. When you see a security official, because you cannot make out from the uniform, the person who's holding a gun like in that picture, whether that is a military officer, a police officer, a border control officer, there's a difference in approach. When a police officer will be told that there stands a terrorist, and when a military officer is told, there's two different approaches. A military officer will take out his gun and will point at that person because that's an immediate security threat, and you would like to challenge it with your weaponry. A police officer is not going to trust you when he will hear that there stands a terrorist. A police officer needs evidence. A police officer will probably try to secure the situation, but interview the person, collect evidence, see a witness, have it in front of him that he can go to a court of law and prove that there stands a terrorist. So be clear on this. I am talking about civilian police and civilian law enforcement, which is very different from a paramilitary force, from a military unit, from a counterinsurgency specialized unit. These are very buzzwords. People around the world love them because there's there is more interest in that, and people believe, and various states believe, you get more secure situations when you go in very heavily armed. In state building, in security issues, this is a very flawed idea. So that's my first point I wanted to make clear. This is my bias. I can be wrong. I'll be very happy to hear from you counter arguments to this, but that's my starting point. So let me go to my first slide, and the plan is, because of some delay and because later on, when after my other colleague will speak, we want a very interactive session. We want to learn from you. These are, as a professor, I know this is nothing that I say is definitive and final. We want to learn and figure it out together. The reason I picked these different pictures on my first slide is when I Googled, to be honest, Iraq police and looked at 5 or 6 major reports that are out there, and maybe the first 20 news items that come up. These are the images. So Iraq police, the great thing is there's gender issues and policing. That's great. Iraq is going forward. There are many other countries in the region and globally which are far behind. Secondly, I myself remember I was in Karbala, and this was, I think, either close to Arbaeen, and there was panic because there was a drone. And everyone thought, I'm talking about 2014, and there was panic because the Iraqi law enforcement around Karbala during that pilgrimage time was not aware. Is it a drone with a chemical weapon? Is it an armed drone? It turned out it was from a media company, and that was the first time they were trying to take pictures. But there was no way. The shrine management that I interviewed, they had no clue, and they were really panicked because what if a drone comes with a chemical weapon? And so everything that Iraqi police was trained for was in a very conventional fashion. So the reason I have that picture there, that I see some improvement, some focus on the technology side as well, and looking at policing at a more broader level. Then I've at least visited and talked to the police academy in Iraq. They're also coming up. I have my criticism, which I'll come to. I think the Iraqi police academies are not getting the support that they should get. And last, the picture on the right sees a police officer who's doing work with humanitarian on issues, supporting, because a person in a police uniform is reflection of the state. There's, for instance, many issues there. For instance, a lot of corruption, let's say, for example, in customs department, in immigration, elsewhere. But a police officer, because he or she is in a uniform, they are seen first. A state's health of security is seen through the prism, through the capacity and capability of a police officer in uniform, because he in uniform represents the state. That's why, and I'm glad there are many officers from and many officials from Ministry of Interior, because Ministry of Interior is the core institution responsible for policing in Iraq. So first, I will, we all know, Iraq is in a process of transition from military to police control, and I know this is a sweeping statement, but defeating ISIS, and that was a commendable job. I actually should start with that and commend the extraordinary success that you have. I was thinking of many other cases in South Asia and Middle East where some of the militant and militant organizations created huge issues. Look at Africa, look at Pakistan and Afghanistan, whether it is Taliban or Al-Qaeda. It took everyone 2 to 3 decades. In case of Iraq, you were able to push out ISIS and Daesh in a big way, to a great extent, in a very short time. And that has to be commended. What caused this success is another story, and we need to briefly talk about it, because that is very much linked to my idea of policing and security. But here you can see for yourself how many officials there are in military uniform. They are representing the different armed forces of Iraq. And how many of police are there? Very few police, and that's understandable and that's acceptable, because that was a counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operation. Now I will take about, for at the most 5 minutes, talk about the framework, so that the issues that I have touched upon initially about Iraqi policing, I provide you in a context. The central context of policing is in a criminal justice system. Policing doesn't exist on its own. It's not an independent organization. It's not an independent element of power of state structure. It is part of a criminal justice system. A good police force cannot operate effectively if the judicial system is broken. And all of you know more than me about the challenges that are faced by the judiciary in Iraq at the moment for the last few years. Then there's a prison system. I'm sure you have seen news items and detailed research about how Daesh first the major leaders of Daesh connected because they were together in prison. Whether it was Abu Ghraib or there was other prisons where Al-Qaeda and Iraq leaders, Zarqawi and others were there, they got connected in prison. So even if, for instance, for the sake of argument, you had an excellent police institution, you had a very effective judiciary, but if the prison system was not functioning right, then the good work of police and judiciary would have failed. So that's my first point. It is criminal justice system overall which makes a difference. Secondly, within the rule of law context where police operates or police is expected to operate is this issue of transparency, this issue of enforceability. If there are excellent laws and you cannot enforce those laws, then no good police system or judicial system can act. So I just wanted to frame first it in the context of rule of law. Secondly, it is, I think, a problematic notion that whenever we use the word national security, the only implication is the military or the defense department. I think it's very flawed because national security is equally linked to the idea of civilian police and Ministry of Interior. If your Ministry of Interior and Ministry of Defense are not at par with each other in terms of resources, in terms of capabilities, in terms of importance in state structure, in terms of importance in political context, you will have an imbalance. We understand you need it, and most countries in this region need good, strong militaries for all the right or wrong reasons, I don't know, but that's understandable. But think of any country which is stable and you'll find a good police force there. Whether Iraq has a good police force, you are a better judge than me, but I'll come to it. But keep these two ideas in your mind. Rule of law and the idea of policing and national security. I have borrowed this idea from a top British judge. This book, in fact, I've brought some books which I would like to present after the event to any senior official from Ministry of Interior. British Judge Tom Bingham, his book Rule of Law. Mostly the books written on law are never bestsellers in the world, but this one is. It's a short book, and Tom Bingham talks about 8 principles of rule of law. I'm only interested for the purpose of brevity on 3 basic principles. Number 1, the law must be accessible and as far as possible intelligible, clear and predictable. Then go to number 3, laws of the land should apply equally to all. So unless there is this predictability and clarity, and unless the law is applied to all, no ethnic, political, cultural, social, sectarian group is above the law. If anyone is above the law, then you don't have rule of law in that country. I'll jump to his next points. And last but not the least, rule of law requires compliance by the state with its obligations in international law. You operate in an international context. And unless there are partnerships and your legal systems across the world talk to each other, and why I picked this third principle as an important principle is because we are in a day and age where the crime and terror nexus operates beyond your borders. And who would know more about it than you? If ISIS and Daesh could not move between Syria and in Iraq, there would have been no ISIS. Do you have jurisdiction or control over Syria? No. Do you have jurisdiction and control over those about 30 countries from Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Kuwait and Morocco and Tunisia to Pakistan and Afghanistan from where Daesh activists came in? If your law enforcement and your laws are not talking to the laws of your regional countries, a law enforcement approach cannot be effective. That's why equality before law, clarity and predictability of law, and the international engagement and cooperation, these are the most important pillars. This was in my framework. I move to next. I know this slide may not be readable very clearly, but I'm just making one major point here. About the previous point was rule of law framework. This is about the national security. I'm just take you to kind of the middle row, where it explains that counterterrorism can be an effective tool only when it is built on a law enforcement approach. How? For instance, as I had mentioned, my first example, you see a terrorist, you take out your gun, you kill the person. Effective, very successful. Every one of us would have liked to do that with Osama bin Laden or Mullah Omar or Zarqawi or Baghdadi, absolutely. However, from a law enforcement approach, that is a problematic way. The reason is because then you lack access to the intelligence that comes out of that person or group of terrorists. In most cases, major terrorist groups were defeated by law enforcement agencies in Paris, in London, case of London, in US as well, where we went through the methodical police forensic approach, because that allows you to connect the dots and figure out what is the broader network. Taking out one terrorist in a given situation, as good as it may seem, is never a good long-term policy. In most cases, most important information comes from interrogations in police stations or in prisons. That's why anyone who's telling you that for counterterrorism you need a first-rate military is wrong. You need first-rate military, absolutely, but as a backup to an effective police institution. Am I speaking too fast, too emotionally? I'm good. I should speak, I get from the interpreter, a bit slowly. Thank you, sir. Now I'm coming more specifically to Iraq, but I wanted to set the stage with that framework. And how I am with time, I have about 15 more minutes. I know my colleague will actually talk more about the international cases, but I'm now specific to Iraq because I see all these elements operating within Iraq. Democratic policing, I must tell you, Iraq is a very lucky country that you in this region, where most countries are not democratic, you operate in a democratic fashion. Because modern policing is all about democratic policing. Why? Because it operates with a criminal justice system. A criminal justice system with judiciary, with policing, and prisons operate very well in a democratic context. You can ask, what is the direct linkage? The linkage is between judiciary and accountable political process, which in most cases comes out only of a democracy. Because in a democracy, a judge can call the prime minister or president and hold them accountable. Whether you can do that with a king or a monarch, I have not seen any such case so far. The point I'm making, democratic policing is a very effective model, which I'm already seeing in Iraq. Intelligence-led policing is also another way in which Iraqi law enforcement is operating. I have heard a lot of criticism between coordination between intelligence and law enforcement in Iraq, and I'll come to that a bit later on. One is just the resource corps, which is, if you just go on their website, you'll find a tremendous, for Ministry of Interior guys here, you'll find tremendous resources on policing from United States, all the reports that have come out based on a lot of research and case studies from within US. One more thing, and I'll come directly to Iraq, is a very famous model by Mr. Peel, a British model, which Iraq also benefited from in 40 or 50 years ago. But I just want to make now, because I've now come specific to police out of my framework, just 3 out of my 10 points. One is the basic mission for which police exist is to prevent crime and disorder. That's the primary role. Crime and disorder. Then another point which I want to emphasize in this is the ability of the police to perform their duties is dependent upon public approval. Police is not the master in a democratic society. Police is not the authoritative institution which drives its force from the state. It derives its power from people. And one next point on my next slide is about the second last one, the point number 8, which is police should always direct their actions strictly towards their functions, and importantly, never appear to usurp the powers of the judiciary. I have seen that in Iraq. I have seen that in many other countries in this region, including in South Asia and Africa, where police believes if judiciary is not working, that's fine. I have the gun. I know I am confronted with a criminal. I can take out my gun and kill the person. And they justify themselves by saying, I know this person has committed 10 murders. If my judicial system is not working, I'm going to go and use my own gun. It may work in one case where people will be happy, a dacoit or a criminal is killed, but it is very problematic from an institutional point of view. And that's where I now come to Iraq's exact cases of 9 issues in a regional context. There's just one slide, and I'll come to my 10 points now. All the argument that I've built and the framework that I've built. I have pictures taken from 3 countries: Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. I've seen both. I've studied policing in Saudi Arabia as well, and Iran. I've been to Iran and Saudi Arabia multiple times. The picture that I picked from Jordan is after a major attack on a Muslim Brotherhood institution. And that's problematic when police is used for political purposes. Jordan's police is actually doing a very good job. It's a capable institution. However, the reason I just picked that picture is whenever you have an effective institution and you use it for political purposes primarily, it takes away the credibility of police. You know better than me, it has happened in Iraq in certain cases. In Saudi Arabia and Iran, they have strong police institutions, but in both cases, in Saudi Arabia and Iraq, police functions are mixed up with the military functions. In many cases, Revolutionary Guards in Iran has been involved in some of the local work. In both cases, police also acts as morality police. Whether someone is doing the hijab or not, it can be an important issue in a religious context. But if you have a policing institution which is responsible for telling people, yes, if you tell someone you have lied and if it has criminal implication, you take the person to court. But whether a person is praying, like in Saudi Arabia, at the time an azan happens, if you're not praying, they would take you to a police station in some cases. The point I'm making, your regional context tells you of some stories on how police has been used for religious and political purposes, that Iraq must try its level best to be away from these models. Borrow the good things that happen in the region. There are many good things happening in the regional context, but be careful of the problems. This all helps me. I don't know, this was not part of my, for sure. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's go back. Oh, okay. I'm not touching it. If you get, yes, this next one, please. Thank you so much. So this brings my whole, thank you very much for your patience. And I hope I have been clear and I built my case in a step-by-step fashion. These are the 10 things. Now I'm coming to my own research, which I'm very open to be critiqued and I learn. First and foremost, the issue of popular mobilization forces and police, Hashd al-Shabi. I tell you honestly, as a former police officer and as a practitioner who teach about policing, in principle, any militias, or I know the Hashd al-Shabi, they don't like to be called a militia, any armed groups which are non-state actors are generally problematic. The reason is because they are not operating within a constitutional legal context. However, and I had come to Iraq, I was in 2014 standing in Najaf, and I remember I woke up at 3 a.m. because there was a lot of voices. And I asked the hotel management what's happening, and they said these are big tribes. They're all walking up to the office of Ayatollah Sistani, and they're demanding action against Daesh. And then the fatwa came. So it has a lot of religious sanctity because at that time the Iraqi military police, I should say, was not resourced enough, not maybe trained enough that they could manage that crisis. There was a people's response supported by a religious figure. It worked out. It had its own issues because when you have about 40, and I had counted at that time, there were about 36 to 40 different sections of Hashd. Some were local, some were tribal, some were religious, some were Shia, some were Sunni, some were Iran supported, some were somebody else supported. They all had one goal, to push out Daesh. They did it well. My argument is, and I have made this in front of the Hashil Shabi leadership previously as well, now you had a battle-trained groups. If they would have been allowed to operate the way they did, they become a national security challenge for you. They may be very honest, they may be very dedicated, which I think they were dedicated for sure. They were not very well trained. However, that was a great opportunity, and that opportunity still exists. I know that Hashil Shabi has been now part of the state. They get salaries from the government. I have all the figures and I have all the details. But my argument is, you take them, some of them, through proper screening process and benefit from their battle-trained experience and get them into police. Not in group, not as a whole. That, for instance, Group X, the Abbas Brigade, let's make Abbas Brigade into a police. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, because they have seen violence and conflict in the field, make best use of their capabilities, screen them, take them through a police academy and make best use of them, some of them. Those who will not fulfill your criterion, say goodbye to them, but engage them elsewhere. In case of Taliban, in case of Al-Qaeda, most militant groups and terrorist organizations came up across Middle East and South Asia and Africa based on some of those militants who were once part of the good war. They were all part of the good Afghan jihad. The United States, everyone else wanted to push back militants. They did it successfully. Soviet Union collapsed. But then those militants who were part of the good war came out in their own countries, built their own militias into terrorist groups. I'm not comparing that with the Hasht, but what I'm saying is, if you will not employ the people who were part of the Hasht in a creative fashion, similar things can happen. And that is going to be a big challenge for police. My second point, I'll quickly go gender. I think already, I don't know the exact figures. It is still less than 5%. The good model is actually a higher percentage, but we are seeing some improvement. So far, I've only seen women police in pictures, not actually in area, but that's something, a transition has to happen. Then militarized policing trends and counterterrorism. That point I think already made, I'll not repeat it. Militarized policing is military. Militarized policing is not policing per se. Be very clear in the distinction. A police officer, his weapon is forensics. His weapon is effective investigation skills. His weapon is a good witness. Whereas for a military, you need good military equipment. Be very clear on the kind of traits you need in a good police officer. Iraq has been, so far, Iraqi police has been more investing on the military side of training, which is understandable because that was the challenge. But however, you'll have to move towards forensic capability, towards investigative skills. For instance, in one case I was reading that there was a number of people in Iraqi police who are not literate. Military, with all the due respect, I mean, I work in a military institution and I am son of a military officer, and I love militaries and I understand their role. But I will say a military officer without a literacy, without being able to read, can survive because he can see the enemy, he can kill them. A police officer who's not literate cannot function because he doesn't know the law. For instance, your Law 20, an excellent exercise, I think 2016, Ministry of Interior deserves a lot of credit for that. Do you think to be able to read Law 20, your police can function? So you have to have a literate police force. Number fourth is, again, health of criminal justice system. I've made that point already. You need a good judiciary for good policing. Professional training institutions. Another area where Iraq needs to develop on investigative capability, and if you have any trainings, I have seen many trainings in Europe, in United States, elsewhere, where leading Iraqi, and I know I'm being a bit tough, where leading officials will come, be part of a training, but go ask US, ask Europe for getting you positions into the police academies. I see a lot of Iraqi officers, and I'm very proud of my Iraqi students who come to National Defense University in Iraq, in the United States. Turkey, for instance, always send their police officers to NDU in America. Kosovo always send their police officers. I would like to see more Ministry of Interior and Iraqi police officers whose names should be given, and I've raised this with the previous Prime Minister, Mr. Abadi, that why I am not seeing Iraqi police coming to American academies. Why always I see military? That's a national priority. US is going to, I'm not speaking on behalf of US government, what I'm saying is they are going to normally accept what you offer. Always make a case for Ministry of Interior and police officials to go for foreign trainings, because that's the new need you have. How many military officers we have here? How many of you here are from military? Very few, so I'm not offending many people. Good. All Ministry of Interior, I'm happy. So that's, that's the purpose. I was not saying these things because I want to make Ministry of Interior happy, but I'm saying you're military, okay? Okay, good. Then the political management and control, I know my colleague will talk more about it, so I'll leave that. Community policing. I was reading many reports, and I'm in my last 5 minutes of my presentation, even before that I'll conclude. I was seeing a successful community policing model in Ambar. I don't know whether it is the donor who's making a strong case that they had a success, but I think Iraq has come through that stage where you first invested more in Iraq Federal Police, and in a step-by-step fashion you came out of it, and now I am seeing the Iraqi governors and the local police getting more support. And the Ambar model, I must say I have not verified that. I would like to go to Ambar myself and see that community policing model, but I am hearing from the writers and researchers who are doing work on this that that is a successful model in Ambar, the local police model which is doing community policing. And community policing is not dependent on your police going door to door and being nice to people. And many people think community policing is a good way to collect local intelligence. No, it is not. It is not an intelligence gathering process. Community policing is to build relationships so that people are generally very comfortable to reaching out to police. And this brings me to my final point of police and intelligence. I have seen, and again I have limited perspective into it, at the moment Iraqi intelligence and police are two parallel institutions. They don't talk as much as they need to talk. That's my, please, I hope you will correct me and you'll tell me that no, Hassan, you are totally wrong. But that's what I'm hearing. And this brings me to 4 principles based on all these 10 things. I was thinking of how to tell you, if you'll tell me in these 10 things, you have given us a general idea, but what we need to do, I would think you need to do 4 things in my humble view. Number 1, police is judged by its availability. So when I travel from here to, again, a lot of my experiences from here to Najaf and Karbala and Samra, and all the, I'm writing a book on pilgrimage and on ziyarah. So a lot of my work is doing all the ziyarahs, which I love doing it in a personal case as well, but I'm looking at it from a law enforcement and security perspective. Police is available, but whenever there's checkposts, the police is there to check you, but what if a crime happens? I have seen that many people who were on road from here to Karbala, if they faced a broken car or some issue, they got immediate support because police and law enforcement is doing very well, and military also is doing very well from here to all the spiritual places. However, if a crime happens, even if a traffic accident happens, there are issues. The local trained police is not there. Secondly, it's an issue of being helpful. First, you have to be available. Do you have enough numbers? I know the old figure was 600,000. Iraqi civilian law enforcement, please correct me. I hope the number has increased. But are they, not only, it's not an availability issue, are they being helpful when they're approached? Third, is Iraqi police being fair and respectful? Frankly, I have talked to many people, and I think people have started, Iraqis respect police. And this is a good sign that people, when they see someone in uniform, Iraqi police has developed a good reputation in comparison to other institutions. So people approach them expecting that they will be fair. But last and not the least is the issue, a twin issue of forensic and training capability. Invest. If you have a budget of, let's say, $100 or 100 Iraqi dinars, I should say, 6 should go towards training and forensic capability. And that currently, I'm told, only 2 dinars or 2 reals out of 10 are going towards training. And please correct me if my figures are wrong. Accountability procedures are also extremely important. The areas of, there have been cases of corruption, and I have heard that Ministry of Interior is taking those issues very seriously. I know this is not readable. I'll leave these slides with you. What I'm recommending for Iraq is an intelligence-led policing model because of the issue of sleeper cells and the issue of kidnapping and others. Last point, it's I think the success story where people don't realize the number of pilgrims who have been coming to Iraq. I myself have walked in Arbaeen. I myself have seen that. It's an amazing success. I think Iraq has not been so far able to project its success. There were issues of Daesh as well. But the pilgrims who come from across the world, from United States alone, I know about 100,000 people come every year for pilgrimage. They have felt secure. They have been able to do their religious performance, and that they feel, the fact that they are still coming and they feel secure is a great success. I don't know what worked there. I think there are various layers of military and police working together, and Shrine themselves investing in security also worked. But you might know the model better than me. Last but not the least, when you're thinking, and this is in my last 60 seconds, if you're thinking of Iraq police, don't think of a new state structure which is expressing the power of the state. It has to be a human security approach that will work. Thank you very much for your patience. Over to you.
Thank you, Hassan. Make sure I know how to operate this. Which were you pressing? Yes. Okay. While Jordan is pulling up my slides, let me start by saying, in my current job, I lead a group of 600 research professionals who support the Office of the Secretary of Defense and other high-level leaders in the national security community. But I got my start in law enforcement, working with the U.S. Department of Justice. I've been fortunate to advise many senior law enforcement official leaders over the years in departments such as New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Cincinnati. And what I'm going to discuss with you here today are some principles of effective policing and police reform. You just heard the context here in Iraq. I'm going to give you the context of what has worked and worked well in other environments. And then hopefully in the question and answer session, we can bring everything together and talk about how both of these presentations might apply here in Iraq. Oh. Thank you. The button is a little touchy. So the key issues with respect to policing are trust and legitimacy. Police have to be perceived as being fair, honest, reliable, responsive. Departments have to show legitimacy by matching their actions within the norms of what is acceptable behavior in society. Sounds simple, but when you're in a position where you have a crime occurring, you have a tense situation, you and the people standing on the other side of the barrier might both be carrying guns. We know that all of these, all of the planning goes out of the window. Policing goes well beyond controlling crime. There's, of course, the desire to reduce crime and victimization, but an essential part of the mission is to call offenders to account, to help reduce fear and enhance personal security, to ensure civility in public spaces, to use force and authority fairly and effectively, to use financial resources fairly and effectively, and to provide quality services and customer satisfaction. I will make all of these slides available at the end of the talk, and I will also provide some additional resources, some of which are available in Arabic language. Should have said that up front. Hassan gave you a good overview of the context, so I won't say much more other than to say that there are some aspects of managing a police department or managing a law enforcement agency that we're going to drill into here in the next few minutes. Recruitment. How do you recruit people into the profession of law enforcement? How do you manage people in the law enforcement profession and keep them with you or retain them? What types of data should you be collecting? And why is it worth collecting data? And how can you improve transparency in decision making? There we go. So I'm going to cover these 5 topics and in the next few slides, and end with some thoughts on community relations and effective policing. Let's start with recruiting police officers. Research shows that there are really 2 things that that are important to people who want to become police. The reputation of the police department. Is it a place that they would be proud to work? Or the negative side of it, is it a place that they think they can get away with things that they want to get away with? And whether the person being recruited into the law enforcement agency has had the chance to see firsthand the types of things that the police are doing. Do they really know what being a police person or police officer is all about? Those are the 2 things that really drive people into the profession of policing. If you want to attract people into the profession, you have to show the community from which you are recruiting what you are and what you do. You can leverage your current staff by employing dedicated recruiters that are already part of your team. You can ask existing members of the police force to refer family and friends. You can find community partners, team up with local organizations, whether they're nonprofits, religious organizations, or others that can help you find good sources of people to recruit. Engage community leaders and educators. Get out in the community, attend sports games, fairs, and other events. Go to recruitment fairs. And give potential recruits a glimpse of the department. Offer opportunities for people who want to become a policeman to ride along, to observe you firsthand. Offer them an opportunity to shadow you as part of a day. And let them conduct site visits with you to visit various operations and part of the job. You also want to provide clear, well-researched materials about your department to potential recruits. You want to conduct research to make sure that your materials are geared toward the people that you want in the department. Determine why certain demographic groups are drawn to policing. And you want to evaluate how potential recruits and new officers look at the materials that you give them and understand them. You want to create materials that are targeted, encouraging, and easy to follow. You want to make sure that they speak to the communities that you're interested in, emphasize benefits over requirements, and you want to make sure that you explain the hiring process clearly. One thing that many U.S. law enforcement agencies have in common the world over is they've changed the process of hiring to make sure that people are getting much clearer signals all the way along about the hiring process. You want to consider candidates from unlikely sources and look into the pipeline to create a better pipeline. We talked about considering former military, but you want to look into diverse fields like auto mechanics, business administration. And you want to design long-range voluntary programs for youth to increase the size of future recruiting pools. You do this by visiting elementary schools, creating police pioneer or explorer programs for kids as early as elementary or primary school. And these programs help provide basic law enforcement training, discipline, and a positive environment that help keep kids out of trouble, which in turn makes it easier to recruit them further on down the line. There we go. You want to create a hiring process that proactively and positively identifies candidates rather than focusing on things that disqualify people from policing. So work with community members and leaders to determine the qualities and the skills that you want in police. Look for officers who have community service or volunteer experience. People who are already involved in their community and want to extend that through policing. Look for traits that are desirable in officers: integrity, service orientation, empathy, communication and human relations skills, self-control, team orientation, and problem-solving skills. And you want to screen extensively in the hiring process. Medical exams, and in the United States, drug tests are a very standard part of the recruitment process. Physical ability tests, but make sure that the physical abilities that you're recruiting on or testing for are related to the job of policing and not simply a way of keeping certain groups or skewing against certain groups who might in fact make good police officers. Psychological evaluation, written aptitude tests, criminal background checks, and an important piece, personal interviews, where you focus on the applicant's community-oriented skills and capabilities, and you pose scenario-based questions to help determine how candidates would handle stressful situations. Once somebody's applied, make sure the process is clear, consistent, and straightforward. Create culturally unbiased testing. Reduce the length of time from initial application to hiring decision, and make the experience as user-friendly and personal as possible. So you've succeeded in hiring. Let's talk now about how you're going to keep them with you. Reduce turnover by bringing those on board who have realistic expectations. Make it clear up front what daily life as a police officer is like, so that they're not disappointed after you've spent investment in bringing them on board. Make it clear to officers how to progress in the job and get promoted. Make sure they're aware of advancement opportunities. Compensation is important. The quality and the quantity of applicants will increase as compensation increases. And applicants typically consider not only their starting pay, but their salary over the first several years. They don't focus nearly as much on retirement. They're very present or near present focused. Some examples of things beyond money that are part of compensation: regular cost of living adjustments, hiring bonuses, retention bonuses, retirement benefits, even though I just told you that they tend not to think about that as much. Opportunities for rank promotion with the salary increases, educational incentives, and flexibility in the job, the ability to work alternative schedules, staggered work hours, things of that nature that can help reduce sick time, absences, and overtime. People like flexibility in the work environment. Increase job satisfaction, get to know your employees and their needs. Conduct regular surveys about satisfaction and commitments to the organization. Analyze by demographic and professional categories. And address the challenges that come up in the survey. At my organization, we just completed a survey of attitudes about working for us, and one of the key things that all of the leaders in our organization have been focused on is coming up with strategies to address the weak points in our organization that the survey revealed. Surveying without the ability and the plan to follow up on them may create actually more problems than it's worth. So you should be talking to your employees about what it is that they like, what their concerns are, but you also have to have the ability to respond to those points once they're raised. Recognize achievements, have VIP ceremonies, give out small tokens, send out thank you notes, and offer opportunities to rotate assignments. It helps avoid monotony, build relationships in the department, and promote cross-functional knowledge and experience. Be transparent as you can across the organization about departmental policies, goals. Allow officers an opportunity to have a voice in decisions. And ensure promotions are equal across demographic groups. And if there are problems, determine what the barriers are and how to correct them. Create a culture of effective leadership and supervision. The relationship between the officers and supervisors is probably the most influential in a decision to stay or leave an organization. Build a culture of advocacy where supervisors advocate for their officers to senior management. Provide feedback to employees on their performance. For example, conduct 360-degree evaluations from managers, colleagues, subordinates, and clients, and provide strategies on how officers can improve their performance. Figure out why officers stay and why they leave. Conduct exit and stay interviews and apply the lessons that you learn. When somebody decides to leave the department, they should be interviewed about the factors that contributed to their decision to leave. And people who stay, particularly people who hit critical benchmarks, whether that's 5 years, 10 years, a promotion benchmark, should be interviewed to understand why they remain committed to the organization. There are lessons in both of those decisions. Let's talk a little bit about how you can develop your workforce now that you've hired them and gotten them to stay. Conduct a strategic analysis. Assess what your staffing needs are and what the training priorities should be. Make sure you incorporate your goals, your missions, and activities. Identify the skills and experience you need for each position. And determine whether some positions could be better filled by civilians who are cheaper and perhaps and require less training than officers. Then examine the skills and experience of your current workforce. Are you in fact already delivering the training and the professional development that they need? And then assess the personnel base that could help you achieve the goals and hire and train accordingly to fill in gaps. At the individual level, focus on officer development. Map out paths for new officers to gain experience, to reach leadership positions. Build mentorship programs between veterans and new staff. Offer frequent trainings for police and staff, ensuring compliance with procedure and best practices for crime fighting and community engagement. Now we're going to turn a little bit to the topic of accountability, anti-corruption, and civilian oversight. Maybe. There we go. The metrics that the police force use signal to employees and the public the activities and the results that are valued. The message here is to help create department-wide accountability. Collect and publish comprehensive micro-level data on crime, such as major crime incidents, crime trends, and police performance, things such as response times, crime solved, and so forth. Make the data public, even when the numbers are bad. Making it public leads to higher public satisfaction with the police. Survey the public about their satisfaction with your police services. Survey officers on the culture of the police organization. Get their views about how the job of policing is done within your organization, and understand their perceptions of procedural justice and fairness of the agency and procedures. And test the culture of police integrity through various integrity test means that are out there. Monitor individual police to make the individuals accountable. For those of you that know anything about policing in the United States, we have a situation of relatively tense relationships between the police and minorities, particularly Black Americans in many communities. Extensive work that I've been a part of in communities such as Dallas, Cincinnati, and others has clearly shown most of the police officers in those communities are very good in their relationships with minorities, whether the police officer himself is Black or white. It only takes a very small number of bad police with bad police practices to make a very big difference in a negative way for a law enforcement agency. So you've got to understand what individual officers are doing on a daily basis. So you need to design a performance monitoring system to evaluate individual police on their attentiveness, reliability, competence. You need to document and examine interactions between the police and the community, whether officers are displaying unprofessional behavior. You can use vehicle-mounted and body cameras to document the interactions. That's one way to do it. It's been done in departments across the world. It leaves you with a lot of video to review and a lot of difficulty in interpreting videos. There are other methods that you can use, and the link that's provided here is to what's called a benchmarking tool that we developed that, provided you collect the right data, gives you the opportunity to compare how any one individual officer is performing compared to officers that are doing the same things elsewhere in your organization. And it's a tool that can be brought into your organization and used to help manage police in a variety of different contexts. And fight corruption at all levels. You do this through increasing the transparency by things like freedom of information laws and financial disclosure requirements, creation of transparent pay tables for people based on rank and years of experience. Make sure you have a clear, visible, transparent system of administrative punishments, terminations, and criminal proceedings as you escalate up severity of transgressions, and help create incentives for reducing opportunities for bribery through offering competitive compensation and a variety of other elements. And finally, increase transparency and foster a culture of accountability by involving civilians in department oversight. Internally, hire a civilian lawyer to serve as the chief of internal investigations, somebody who's not a part of policing, whose next promotion or opportunity isn't going to depend on clearing somebody or finding them innocent in an internal investigation. And maintain an internal affairs bureau that provides and allows police to investigate other police. Externally, create a civilian complaint review board and hire a government-appointed independent police monitor, somebody who, again, externally not part of the police organization, but who has an oversight function and can represent community views and community standards. And now we'll conclude by moving on into wrapping all of this up within the context of community policing and effective policing. The effectiveness of police basically depend on the kinds of outcomes that they achieve and the types of support that they get from the public. Outcomes are things like crime rates, solving crime, public order, and support of the public are things like trust, satisfaction, and cooperation. Those things combine to create an impression of what the effectiveness of the police are. Perceptions of police are critical. Police are more effective when civilians and citizens willingly follow police instructions and proactively assist the police. And the acts of individual police officers affect the reputation of the department very disproportionately. Perfection isn't expected, but departments should detect and respond to problems. These are all part of creating a perception that allows people to support the police. Departments enjoy public support when they practice what's called procedural justice. The public will support the police when they understand policies and procedures, believe those procedures are fair, and see that police are held accountable for their actions. And when members of the public believe they have been treated fairly, had their concerns heard, and their decisions are conveyed respectfully, they are more likely to judge an interaction with the police as positive even when they don't get what they want, or even when the decision made is not favorable to them. In other words, you can disappoint people as long as you've given them a chance to speak and they feel that they've been treated fairly. Department-wide efforts can increase public support, develop clear procedures and anti-discrimination policies, dedicate liaisons between the police and minority communities in particular, nominate minority group representatives in police governing authorities, recruit from ethnic and religious minorities in your communities, and develop forums between the police and the community to increase dialogue, feedback, and understanding. Make sure that your only contact with the citizenry isn't when they're filing a complaint or a police report or reporting a crime. There have to be other ways to engage with the community. Individual level efforts can also increase police support. Officers need to exhibit knowledge, competence, and cultural sensitivity, explain procedures and decisions, and listen and respond to concerns raised by citizens. Problem-oriented policing produces good results. And good policing outcomes do not result from over-policing, under-policing, or discrimination. Over-policing is aggressive tactics in targeting minority communities. Under-policing is neglect of minority communities, especially victims, and using ethnicity, race, or religion as a basis for increased suspicion or scrutiny. So these things all combine to create the types of policing outcomes that you want, the kinds of public support that you want, and when they're working together, they help generate more effective policing. So we're going to take a short break for coffee. I mentioned earlier that some of these documents and reports that we've done are available on our website. Well, they're all available on our website in English. Some are available in Arabic. Again, I will make copies of the slides, including the website references available to you. If there are certain documents that are not yet available in Arabic that you're interested in, please let me know. We have the ability to have them translated selectively based on requests, and would be happy to do so if something that we've done might prove to be useful for you here in Iraq. And with that, I think we'll take a...
الحقيقة بعد 2003 والهجمة القوية اللي صارت على البلد من جماعات القاعدة وما رافقها من العمليات الإرهابية صارت، اضطرت وزارة الداخلية إلى زيادة عدد الضباط والمنتسبين. طبعا عملية إعداد الضباط هي عملية تأخذ وقت كبير. اضطرت الوزارة أن تأخذ ضباط من الجيش المنحل، جو برتب مختلفة، يعني رتب مختلفة. حقيقة ما صارت عملية إعادة بناء لهم مثل إدخالهم بدورات على عمل الشرطة واختصاص الشرطة، وإنما إجا هذا الضابط كما هو من الجيش خدم في وزارة الداخلية. العدد وزارة الداخلية هسه تقريبا نريد حدود تقريبا ما يقارب 600,000، فنشوف الزيادة بحدود أقرب ما يكون تقريبا 9 أضعاف صار عدد الوزارة زيادة. طبعا العمليات الإرهابية اللي صارت حقيقة احنا كنا محتاجين زملائنا من الجيش، خاصة بالتشكيلات القتالية اللي صارت، شرطة اتحادية، الحدود، أفواج الطوارئ، نحتاج إلى هيك اختصاصات، خاصة بعد عام 2014 والهجمة اللي صارت علينا من عصابات داعش. وفعلا زملائنا ضباط الجيش حقيقة كان لهم دور كبير في عمليات التحرير، وعمليات كانوا سند للوزارة. استراتيجية وزارة الداخلية للأعوام 2019-2023 أخذت الأولويات التالية. أول شيء التحول بالشرطة من الشرطة الخضراء إلى الشرطة الزرقاء، ونقصد احنا بالشرطة الخضراء هي الشرطة العسكرية إلى الشرطة المدنية. شلون نحول الشرطة إلى خدمة تقدر خدمة للمجتمع. إذن يردنا إعادة بناء وإعادة تدريب منتسبين العاملين بهذا الشيء، ومن ضمنها كان كذلك موضوع إعادة بناء الشرطة الاتحادية وإعادة تنظيمها وزيادة مهاراته في مجال التحقيق الجنائي، في مجال التحقيق، في مجال كشف المتفجرات، حتى نحولهم من طبيعة عسكرية إلى طبيعة شرطية. كذلك عندنا موضوع بناء القدرات الاستخبارات، وكالة الاستخبارات في وزارة الداخلية، باعتبار المرحلة المقبلة راح تكون هي مرحلة استخبارات ومرحلة معلومات. كل ما كانت وزارة الداخلية متوفرة عندها معلومات، ذاك الوقت عمل الشرطة راح يكون أسهل ويكون أنجح. كذلك عندنا موضوع تطوير قدرات حرس الحدود، لأن احنا نتوقع الوضع المضطرب في سوريا قد يؤدي إلى مثلا قدوم عدد من الإرهابيين إلى العراق وعودتهم، فيجب أن تكون عندنا الحدود مضبوطة. هذا بس التعليق حقيقة وليس سؤال هو كان. شكرا جزيلا.
اللواء زياد طه علي، مدير عام التدريب والتأهيل في وزارة الداخلية. تحدث الدكتور أعتقد حسن إذا ما أخطأت أنه عن العدالة الجنائية ووضعها في العراق. طبعا العدالة الجنائية مفهومها هي بالعراق تمثل 3 أضلع لمثلث العدالة الجنائية. الضلع الأول يمثل وزارة الداخلية، والثاني يمثل مجلس القضاء الأعلى، والثالث يمثل وزارة العدل. هذه المنظومة مجتمعة تؤدي إلى مفهوم العدالة الجنائية بعد أن تتكامل كافة التنسيق والإجراءات المتطلبة فيما بين هذه الجهات الثلاثة. طبعا وضعنا بالعراق فيما يتعلق بالعدالة الجنائية كل مؤسسة تؤدي مهامها، مثل الداخلية، مجلس القضاء الأعلى، ووزارة العدل، ولكن لا توجد هناك منظومة لرحلة المتهم. لا توجد هناك منظومة متكاملة للعمل بشفافية بين هذه الجهات الثلاثة. ولهذا دأبت يعني المستشارية الأمن الوطني إلى البدء بموضوع فكرة منظومة التكامل لمشروع العدالة الجنائية. طبعا حقيقة ما أعرف الوقت المخصص إنه كان أقدر أتحدث عنه وشون تعثر هذا المشروع، ولكن بشكل عام هو منظومة تؤدي إلى ربط كافة الوزارات الثلاثة المعنية اللي هي مجلس القضاء الأعلى ووزارة العدل ووزارة الداخلية بمنظومة إلكترونية تسجل لحظة توقيف المتهم والبدء بالإجراءات إلى حين انتهاء الحكم بالإفراج أو تنفيذ الحكم بالمؤسسات الإصلاحية. طبعا هذا المشروع يعني أيضا تعثر ويحتاج إلى دعم دولي، وهو كان تبرع من قبل السفارة الأمريكية والأمم المتحدة، ولكن توقف نتيجة إرهاب داعش 2014. البنى التحتية خاصة بالاتصالات والكيبل الضوئي أدت إلى هذا التعثر. والآن احنا بصدد التنسيق بالنسبة لوزارة الداخلية نعمل على أنه نربط المنظومة فيما بيننا بين مراكز الشرطة بشكل كامل مع وزارة الداخلية ووكالة الشرطة، ولكن يبقى المهم أنه تربط هذه المنظومة بمجلس القضاء الأعلى وبوزارة العدل. فيما يتعلق بالتدريب، لكوني مدير عام التدريب والتأهيل في وزارة الداخلية أعطيكم إحصائية بسيطة عن التدريب. دورات داخل العراق عندنا حقيقة لداعمين الدوليين اللي ينفذوها الداعمين الدوليين 449 دورة، شملت 68,424 من الضباط والمنتسبين في وزارة الداخلية. 449 دورة. خارج العراق، دورات خارج العراق 332 دورة. مجموع الدورات اللي هي من الدعم الدولي، هذا دا أحكي فقط من الداعمين الدوليين، يعني التحالف الدولي والسفارات والمنظمات الدولية. مجموع الدورات 781 دورة. كانت أكثر الدورات حقيقة هي من حلف الشمال الأطلسي، من الجانب الفرنسي، الجانب الأمريكي، الوكالة اليابانية التعاون الدولي جايكا، والمنظمة الدولية للهجرة، والجانب الإيطالي. هاي أنا دا أحكي بشكل عام، ولا يعني أرجو أنه أخاف هناك جهات أخرى لم أذكرها، ولكن أنا ذكرت الأرقام اللي هي يعني يستوجب ذكرها بشكل عالي. طبعا أيضا فيما يتعلق، السيد أشار إلى موضوع إسناد المناصب. إحنا لدينا منظومة ومعيار خاص بمنظومة إسناد المناصب بالنسبة للضباط اللي يتعينون، يخضعون إلى هذه المنظومة من أجل إسناد المناصب لهم. وفيما يتعلق تأهيلهم، استحدثت وزارة الداخلية ولأول مرة مركز إعداد وتأهيل القادة. طبعا هذا المقترح أيضا تبنت الأمانة العامة لمجلس الوزراء، وأيضا استحدثت بتوصية من بقرار مجلس الوزراء أنه تستحدث مثل هذا المعهد اللي خاص بإعداد وتأهيل القادة، اللي هو مشابه إلى ما استحدثته وزارة الداخلية. وزارة الداخلية راح تعمل بهذا المعهد أو المركز التدريبي للي هم الآن في نعم الآن الآن وزارة الداخلية تعمل باتجاهين في هذا المركز إعداد وتأهيل القادة. بالنسبة للذين هم مستلمي المناصب الآن وفيهم سيخضعون إلى دورة واختبار لاستمرارهم بهذه المناصب، وبالنسبة للآخرين سيتم إدخالهم دورة لمدة 4 أشهر في هذا المركز، واللي يتخرج هو يكون إلى الأسبقية والأولوية بإسناد المناصب العليا. طبعا هاي حبيت أنوه على هذا. شكرا جزيلا لحضرتك.
سعدتم صباحا. سعيد ياسين موسى، ناشط مدني وخبير مكافحة الفساد، أنتي كوربشن. الحقيقة ضمن منهجيتنا في مجال مكافحة الفساد ووضع الاستراتيجيات اللازمة لمكافحة الفساد في قطاعات الدولة، سنة 2012 بعد اجتماع دولي مع رئيسية النزاهة فرع الشفافية الدولية والأمم المتحدة، طرحنا موضوع شفافية قطاع الأمن والدفاع والتسلح. كمجتمع مدني اعتمدنا على وثيقة الناتو اللي هي التقييم الذاتي للقطاع الأمن والدفاع. أصدرنا تقرير بهذا الباب أولي في الحكومة السابقة. النتيجة بعد 3 سنوات كانت هناك تم اعتماد استراتيجية لإصلاح قطاع الأمن. قد الأخوة الأمنيين يعني يسمعون هذا الكلام أول مرة، ولكن كنا ضمن الجروب في مركز القرار كمجتمع مدني. نعم، نحتاج يعني حقا أولا تطوير أداء يعني قطاع الشرطة كقطاع على تماس بالحياة اليومية للمواطنين من أجل تعزيز الثقة. قطاع الشرطة ليس فقط في الشرطة المحلية وما شابه، بل بالخدمات أيضا اللي يقدموها. تعزيز الثقة ما معناه الخطوة الأولى في بداية الأمن، وهذه توصية أتمنى أن تعتمد هذه النقطة. دعم جهاز الشرطة المجتمعية ورفع قدرتها للتواصل مع المجتمع من أجل بناء جسور التواصل. أنا واحد من الناس أمس كنت في زيارة لأحد مراكز الشرطة، مع أنه الإجراء في رأيي كان غير قانوني، بأنه يستدعوني الاستخبارات تعال نعطينا معلومات عنك وأنا منظمة مستقلة، ومع معرفتي ما هي حقوقي أيضا ذهبت، ولكن شفت المكان بائس لا يصلح إلا لغير البشر. احترام الضابط واحترام المنتسب وتحسين بيئة العمل يجعل هناك إبداع في تقديم الخدمة. عندما يشعر يعني رجل الشرطة أو الاستخبارات أو ما شابه بوضع مزري مثل ما المرور كرفانات وما شابه، أعتقد هو راح يفقد جزء من حقه، فكيف راح يحترم حقوقي كمواطن؟ أتمنى على قيادة الشرطة، مستعدين أن ندرب قيادات الشرطة وقطاع الأمن والدفاع، وعندنا تنسيق مع دكتور جمال وصديقنا هو منهم في هذا الباب. ندربكم على دور الشرطة في الدولة الديمقراطية، في النظام الديمقراطي، وعندنا استعداد أيضا ندربكم على كيفية العمل بشفافية مع الحفظ على الجانب الجنائي أو القانوني أو المقيد. خلينا نقول عندنا مشكلة واحدة حقيقة، هي مسألة الأكسس انفورميشن، حق الحصول على المعلومات وتواصل المعلومات، مع أنه في فترة مكافحة الإرهاب كان هناك تطور في الإبلاغ، وأدعي بأنه أنا كنت جزء من قبل ما تتأسس الخلية الإعلامية. تطوير سياسة الإبلاغ لجهاز الشرطة والإفصاح عمن تجاوز بحقوق الناس أو تجاوز على القانون يعزز الثقة بجهاز الشرطة. شكرا جزيلا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واثق السعدون، أكاديمي عراقي مقيم في تركيا، خبير من مركز دراسات الشرق الأوسط أورسام في أنقرة. أود أن أذكر أنه أنا الآن وصلت، يعني لم أحضر البانل الجزء الأول من البانل يعني أو البانل الصباحي، فقد راح أذكر بعض الأمور قد تكون قد ذكرتموها يعني في البانل الأول. فيما يخص العنوان العريض، إصلاح المنظومة الأمنية في العراق، أو يعني بعض التوصيات أو تحسين أداء المنظومة الأمنية في العراق. في الواقع الكل يعلم بأن الأمن أصبح في منطقتنا أمر حيوي ومهم جدا. في السابق الحراك السياسي الإقليمي كان قادر على السيطرة على التداعيات الأمنية في المنطقة. الآن الحراك السياسي الإقليمي يحاول اللحاق بالتداعيات الأمنية، وبعض الأحيان يفشل في اللحاق بالتداعيات الأمنية في المنطقة. في السابق كانوا يقولون أنه الاقتصاد يصنع السياسة، الآن الأمن يصنع الاقتصاد ويصنع السياسة. الأمن مهم جدا. نعم. فيما يخص إصلاح الأداء المنظومة الأمنية في العراق أو القطاع الأمني في العراق، يجب أن نحدد خط شروع أو نقطة شروع أو معيار ثابت لهذا الهدف. أنا أعتقد بأن المعيار يجب أن يكون أداء القطاعات الأمنية بكافة صنوفها بكافة فروعها في خلال الحرب على داعش. أعتقد هذا معيار مناسب جدا لأن يكون ستاندر لتقييم وتقويم أداء المنظومة الأمنية. هنالك أعتقد مشكلتين رئيسيتين يعني تعاني منها قطاع الأمن في العراق بشكل عام. أعتقد يعني حسب تقييمنا يعني أنه هو مشكلة يعني تأثيرات سياسية على المؤسسة الأمنية. والمشكلة الثانية هي يعني لا نستطيع أن نقول الفساد، يعني ما زالت حسب تقييمنا أن المنظومة الأمنية إذا ما تقيس أو المؤسسة العسكرية المؤسسة الأمنية في العراق إذا ما تقاس بباقي المؤسسات في العراق يعني الفساد ليس ظاهرة كبيرة فيها، يعني حسب تقييمنا كوجهة نظر باحث من خارج العراق. يعني أعتقد أنه هنالك بعض الترهل في المؤسسة الأمنية العراقية. يعني مثلا يعني فور اكزامبل، يعني على سبيل المثال مثلا عندنا قطاعات مدرعة في الجيش وعندنا قطاعات مدرعة في وزارة الداخلية. القطاعات المدرعة وزارة الداخلية لا تستطيع إدارة قطاعات مدرعة. هي تستطيع وزارة الداخلية أن تقود قطاعات مدرعة خلال المعركة، نعم تستطيع أن تقود خلال المعركة، ولكن القطاعات المدرعة يحتاج إلى مؤسسات تصليح، معامل تصليح اقتصاد. يعني هذه لا تستطيع وزارة الداخلية أن تواجه هكذا معاضل فنية ضخمة. يعني فمقترح أو ريكومنديشن يعني يجب دمج القطاعات المدرعة في الجيش وفي وزارة الداخلية ضمن تشكيل واحد. نلاحظ هناك فرق قتالية أيضا في وزارة الداخلية. وزارة الداخلية أعتقد أنه يجب أن تركز على الأمن الداخلي وأن يكون يعني عملها شرطوي أكثر ما يكون عمل قتالي. يعني فبالإمكان يعني هذا تعدد أنواع القطاعات العسكرية وتعدد أنواع القطاعات الأمنية، هذا يضعف القيادة والسيطرة خلال المعركة، يضعف القيادة والسيطرة على هذه القطاعات. فمن الأولى لتقليص مراكز القيادة والسيطرة هو جعل القطاعات يعني حسب الفروع. يعني مثلا هذه قطاعات مدرعة يعني تكون في فرع واحد يتبع وزارة الدفاع. أيضا أشار الأستاذ إلى مسألة يعني حقوق الإنسان أو مسألة التعامل يعني بالنسبة للمؤسسات. هذا مهم جدا مهم جدا مهم جدا للمزاج الشعبي. يعني دائما المؤسسات الأمنية هي على تماس مع الشارع، وتعامل المؤسسات الأمنية في يعني هو يتحكم في المزاج الشعبي بشكل دائم. يعني وشكرا جزيلا.
طاب صباحكم جميعا. شكرا للسادة المتحدثين سواء من الباحثين أو الأخوة الضباط أو المسؤولين في وزارة الداخلية والسادة الضيوف من الدول العربية والصديقة للعراق. أنا اللواء ضياء الوكيل، مستشار ومتحدث سابق للقوات المسلحة ووزارة الدفاع وخبير شؤون التحليل في الأمن القومي والدفاع. الحقيقة كانت هناك يعني طروحات مهمة خلال هذه الندوة، ولكني سأتحدث بالموضوع الاستراتيجي في الإطار العام. ما أطرحه يمثل وجهة نظر شخصية لا تعبر عن رأي أي جهة سواء كانت رسمية أو خاصة، بما فيها مركز الرافدين للحوار. سأطرح وجهة نظري بصفتي الشخصية كباحث. في نقطة مهمة، هنالك خلط بين موضوع القتال والحرب. القتال هو اشتباك بين جهتين، وهذه الصفحة انتهت بهزيمة تنظيم داعش بتدمير البنية القتالية لهذا التنظيم، وأيضا تفكيك الهيكلية القيادية لتنظيم داعش وإسقاط المشروع السياسي لهذا التنظيم. هذه صفحة انتهت، ولكن الحرب الحرب صراع إرادات ومفهوم أوسع، وإدارة الحرب إدارة سياسية بالدرجة الأولى، وإدارة يعني معقدة وتقوم على أسس وأركان استراتيجية. في موضوع تنظيم داعش تحدثنا أنه هزم عسكريا، دمرت الترسانة العسكرية، ولكن السؤال المطروح: ماذا عن الترسانة الفكرية؟ ماذا عن الترسانة الأيديولوجية؟ هذه ليست مخازن سلاح وعتاد ممكن أن تتوجه لها المدفعية والطائرات، هذه هنا بنيتها التحتية في العقول. هذه نقطة مهمة. أنا قلت أن الحرب يعني إدارة الحرب أوسع من إدارة القتال. عندما تكون الإدارة سياسية فالموارد السياسية أوسع من الموارد العسكرية. الموارد العسكرية، القوة العسكرية هي وسيلة واحدة لتحقيق الاستقرار ومن ثم السلام، ولكنها ليست الوحيدة، بينما السياسة لديها جملة من الموارد بما فيها سياسية وعسكرية وإعلامية وموارد أخرى ممكن أن تحشدها في موضوع مواجهة الإرهاب بشكل عام. في نقطة عندما قلنا أن انتهت المرحلة العسكرية انتقلنا إلى موضوع آخر، موضوع الإدارة السياسية، وعلى الجانب العسكري موضوع العمل الاستخباراتي. لا يمكن الآن في هذا الوضع القيام بجهد استخباراتي ناجح. لماذا؟ لأن ذلك يتعلق بالبيئة المستهدفة بسياق استخدام القوة العسكرية. ماذا نقصد بالبيئة المستهدفة؟ البيئة المتحررة أو التي حررت من تنظيم داعش. هذه البيئة لا زالت تعاني الإهمال والجمود والشلل والعوز والفقر والنزوح. هذه البيئة لا يمكن أن تقدم يعني human intelligence، لا يمكن أن تقدم معلومات استخباراتية بشرية مفيدة للقوات الأمنية. لماذا؟ ليس لأنها يعني متفاعلة أو متعاونة مع تنظيم داعش، إنما تخاف من عودة هذا التنظيم. إذن الإدارة السياسية، نعود إلى الإدارة السياسية، يجب أن تقوم بجملة من الإجراءات في سبيل معالجة الأسباب، استثمار المنجز العسكري المتحقق في الميدان بترجمته إلى نهج سياسي بناء يعالج الأسباب ويتعامل مع النتائج. هذه نقطة مهمة جدا وفيها جانب سياسي. في القوة العسكرية لا تستطيع أن تنتج تأثير استراتيجي القوة العسكرية في حالة غياب الفعل السياسي، لأنه المنجز العسكري إن لم يترجم كما قلنا إلى نهج سياسي ممكن أن يتعرض المنجز العسكري إلى عوامل التعرية والتآكل والانقلاب عليه حتى من قبل السياسة. هذه نقطة مهمة. على الجانب الدولي أنا أقول أن الإعلام هو معركة العقل، والإنترنت هو حلبة الصراع الأخطر. حاول تنظيم داعش بعد هزيمته العسكرية أن يتحول إلى الإنترنت، ولديه تواصل مع أفراد متأثرين به في الدول الغربية من الساخطين، من الشباب الساخطين والناقمين والذين يعانون من ظروف شخصية لربما صعبة. هؤلاء ممكن أن يتواصل معهم تنظيم داعش، ونحن لاحظنا بعض العمليات الإرهابية الكبيرة التي نفذت في باريس وبروكسل والولايات المتحدة وحتى في روسيا. هذه العمليات تمت بعد إعلان الذئاب أو ما يسمى بالذئاب المنفردة، بعد أن أعلنوا عبر الإنترنت أو وسائل الإعلام ولائهم لتنظيم داعش أو تنظيم القاعدة أو الإرهاب، ومن ثم قاموا بعملياتهم. هذه نقطة يجب أن ننتبه إليها، وهو موضوع الإنترنت. وأنا أطرح هنا تساؤل مهم جدا، هذا التساؤل أطرحه على كل الباحثين سواء الدوليين أو يعني العراقيين. لماذا لا تقوم الدول الغربية والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية بإغلاق المواقع الكبيرة لتنظيم القاعدة وتنظيم داعش، بما فيها موقع الفرقان وموقع الحياة وموقع دابق؟ هذه تحض وتحرض على العنف وعلى الكراهية وتعمل ضد القيم والأخلاقيات الإنسانية بشكل عام. لماذا لا تغلق هذه المواقع؟ لأن تنظيم القاعدة وتنظيم داعش ليس لديه أقمار صناعية، هو يستأجر هذه المواقع. واسمحوا لي طبعا يعني هذا الموضوع ليس للنشر، نحن نتحدث في موضوع استخباراتي مهم جدا. لماذا لا تغلق هذه المواقع وهي مستأجرة من قبل ريسيفرات موجودة في الدول الغربية؟ وأنا عندي حتى أرقام هذه الريسيفرات في الدول الغربية وفي الولايات المتحدة. لماذا لا تغلق هذه المواقع وهي أحد الأسباب؟ أنا قلت الإنترنت هو حلبة الصراع الأخطر. إذا أردنا فعلا ولدينا إرادة دولية في مواجهة هذه التنظيمات لنشرع بهذه الخطوة. كما أسسنا تحالف دولي عسكري، ممكن أن نؤسس تحالف دولي لمواجهة الجرائم المعلوماتية واستغلال الإنترنت من قبل الجماعات الإرهابية. هذه نقطة مهمة.
Okay, we have to go on now. One more. We had a question in the back. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you.
شكرا. بسم الله. علي الدباغ، سياسي عراقي. بالمناسبة يعني مناسب أن نوجه الثناء والتقدير لشرطتنا العراقية اللي الآن بالمقارنة مع الأجهزة الشرطية في المنطقة تلاحظون كم قدموا من ضحايا ومن شهداء. ومن يخرج في بغداد يجد الشوارع والأعمدة الكهرباء والأسوار كلها ممتلئة بشهداء الشرطة اللي قدموا روحهم ثمن للأمن وأمن المواطن. طبعا بناء الشرطة العراقية تم في ظروف حرب، يعني منذ أن بدأت. أنا أتذكر في 2004 و2005 كل 4 شرطة كان عندهم بندقية واحدة. الظرف الذي تم فيه بناء الشرطة العراقية كان ظرفا صعبا جدا، وبالتالي هذا النمو الذي تحدث عنه الأخ سعدون، الترهل نما في ظروف غير طبيعية. بالتأكيد هو حتى الشرطة تدرك بأن هذه الزيادات الأعداد الهائلة عبء كبير على الشرطة، لكن لظروف خارجة عن إرادة الأمنية هي هذه الذي حدث. الشرطة طبعا كما هو معلوم باحتكاك مباشر مع المواطن وحياة المواطن بالمقارنة مع الأجهزة الأمنية. من هالنقطة أنا أريد أتحدث الحقيقة. يعني الشرطة عندنا في العراق على الرغم من الجهد البطل والكبير الذي تقوم به وقياداتها، لكن غياب التقنية التي هي فجوة كبيرة جدا تؤثر على العمل الأمني وعلى العمل الشرطي. حتى الآن الذي ندرك أن نقاط السيطرة التي تحمي المدن هي فاقدة للتقنية، فاقدة إلى الكاميرات، فاقدة إلى الأجهزة التحسس، فاقدة إلى الكثير من الأمور التي تعين الأجهزة الأمنية في ضبط الأمن. وهذه نقطة إخواننا في الشرطة يعني الآن استراحة محارب بعد ما انقضت هذه الفترة الصعبة، أن يعاد النظر في العمل الأمني والعمل الشرطي في العراق بالاستعانة بهذه التقنيات التي تعين الأجهزة الأمنية. وهذه ما لم نتطور ونرتقي إليها أتصور يبقى العمل الأمني مرهون بالعمل الشخصي والعمل الفردي، وهذه لا تنتج مشروعا أمنيا كما هو معلوم. نقطتين مهمة في موضوع التقنية. أولا للحماية الأمنية، الجزء الثاني لتذليل العقبات أمام المواطن العراقي الذي يعاني كثيرا في التعامل مع أجهزة الشرطة في القضايا المحاكم وقضايا التحقيقات. لا تزال التعامل مع مراكز الشرطة يتم ما هو كان قبل 40 سنة وقبل 50 سنة، وهذه نقطة مهمة جدا لأنها تماس كما قلت أنا في حياة المواطن العراقي. الجزء الآخر اللي أتحدث عنه بعجالة وبسرعة ما تحدث عنه زميلي الأخ ضياء من أن الإعلام، إحنا في وزارة الداخلية مشكلة الإنترنت وهذا الانفلات الكبير في استخدام السوشيال ميديا وتبادل هذه المعلومات. يعني العراق اضطر مثلا قبل سنة أو سنتين يحجب الفيسبوك، يحجب لظروف معينة تراها الشرطة هي تقدرها، لكن بالنتيجة لم نرتقي في العمل الشرطي والعمل الأمني إلى الجريمة الإلكترونية اللي الآن تتطور في العراق، تتطور من الناحية الأخلاقية، من الناحية الأمنية، من الناحية الاجتماعية. وهذا جهد كبير حتى ترتقي الشرطة في العمل الأمني، لأنه عمل متعدد الاتجاهات، ليس فقط نقطة تفتيش، وإنما تتجاوز إلى الكثير بحياة المواطن وأمنه. شكرا جزيلا.
اللواء الدكتور ياسر عبد الجبار محمد، مدير المعهد العالي للتطوير الأمني والإداري في وزارة الداخلية. بالتأكيد نبدأ بكلمة شكر للسادة الحضور الكرام، السادة المنظمين، السادة المداخلين لوقفتهم الجادة مع أجهزة الشرطة. مداخلتي فيما يتعلق بالمحاضرة الثانية للسيد جاك والخاصة بتعيين الضباط وتدريباتهم. وزارة الداخلية ابتداء تؤكد على الهوية الوطنية في استقطاب الضباط وتعامل الجميع طبقا لأحكام الدستور في موضوعة المساواة وتكافؤ الفرص. تسعى جادة إلى استقطاب الكفاءات للعمل في جهاز الشرطة كجزء من سياسات التغيير الجارية حاليا. كما أشار سيادته نود أن نعلمه أن هناك جملة من الإجراءات قبل تعيين ضابط الشرطة، ومنها اختبارات طبية وأيضا بدنية واختبارات نفسية واختبارات تقنية وحاسوبية، إضافة إلى اختبارات قوة الشرطة ومطابقة المواصفات، على أن يكون ابتداء حسن السيرة والسلوك وغير مسجل جنائيا. الجميع وبغض النظر عن الانتماءات الفرعية متساوون أمام القانون. هناك دورة حاليا في المعهد العالي لتعيين مجموعة من الضباط، فيهم 250 حامل شهادة عليا بين الدكتوراه والماجستير في الاختصاصات العلمية ذات الصلة بأعمال الشرطة، إضافة إلى 250 مرشح آخر حاصلين على البكالوريوس من الأوائل على الجامعات. في مجال التدريب نركز على جملة من التدريبات، وهي تدريبات بدنية وعمليات شرطة وأسلحة شرطة. وفي الجانب العلمي هناك 14 منهج علمي، في مقدمتها علوم القانون، أي أن يدرك الضابط أنه يعمل طبقا للقانون، هناك سلطة للمعايير. هناك أيضا تدريبات في العلوم الإدارية وفي التحقيق وعمليات الشرطة، ونؤكد في كل دورة تدريبية على منهج حقوق الإنسان والطفل والقيم الديمقراطية. أيضا ضباط العاملين يخضعون إلى دراسات عليا مطابقة للمعايير العالمية في الدراسات العليا. حاليا لدينا تقريبا 7 فروع علمية، ومنها القانون العام، القانون الجنائي، الإدارة الأمنية، علم النفس الجنائي، الإعلام الأمني، التقنيات والمعلومات. وهذه الفروع العلمية مطابقة من حيث المناهج والمعايير والوحدات والساعات ومستوى المدربين لما معمول في دراسات الماجستير. يخضع جميع الضباط العاملين في وزارة الداخلية بمختلف مستويات القيادة إلى تدريبات مستمرة، وهناك أيضا تدريبات خاصة في مسرح الجريمة. من جانب آخر هناك جهد عالي جدا من قبل المديرية العامة للتدريب والتأهيل، إذ سعت لتأمين ما يقارب من 200 فرصة لدراسة الماجستير والدكتوراه في الجامعات في العلوم ذات الصلة بأعمال قوى الأمن الداخلي بمختلف مستوياتها. التنمية مستمرة في جهاز الشرطة على كافة المستويات. إذا يسمح لي المتواجدون أن أبدي ملاحظة تحفظية على جدول المحاضرة الأولى، قد يكون خطأ في الترجمة. في النقطة الرابعة دروس من العراق في مواجهة داعش والحشد الشعبي، أقترح أن تكون دروس في مواجهة داعش فحسب. الحشد الشعبي هو من مؤسسات الدولة المهمة التي أسهمت في حفظ الأمن والنظام العام. شكرا لحضراتكم وآسف على الإطالة.
Thank you. I just wonder at this point if we should go to our speakers for any comments. We've had a number of very, very important interventions from the audience. We've talked about the expansive training operations. We've talked about the need for the coordination of the justice function. We talked a bit about the distinction of military force and police force, which was essential, and the role of technology that was brought up, and that the police forces are limited in dealing with technologies that may not be the most sophisticated or meet the needs. And we talked about the internet and the challenges of cybercrime and cyber warfare. If we just take a moment to hear from Dr. Hassan, Dr. Riley, if they have any comments, and then we'll come back to the audience.
Thank you very much for sharing your insights and feedback. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of thoughtful ideas behind police reform already that you are thinking. It is very glad to hear about the training, that you're really up to the mark, and there's realization about global engagement and the master's degree and others. I have some more questions for you. For instance, how many forensic laboratories are there? Because forensics is when someone walks into a police station and you're collecting evidence. Good degrees and training is good, but forensic sciences are developing very fast. And even in developed countries, in Europe and in United States, they are constantly catching up. So that's what I have heard, to my limited knowledge. Iraq needs far more forensic laboratories than you have. That is one question. Secondly, a kind of a slightly different point, given the overall security situation in Iraq. As Iraq is, it's a democracy, it is being tested, but the resilience of Iraq is really, must be appreciated, because you're going through these democratic process of coming together, coalition building. It is good to see all different ethnic, religious and sectarian groups coming together. However, we have seen protests of different shapes, in different shapes and forms. When the summer will come, there'll be added pressure on services, and when people don't get water or electricity, they come out, and police is the first institution then come in front. Are you in your police academies training, for the lack of any other word, patience? Patience, because police will be attacked, people will throw stones at them. How will police react? Will they take out their weapons, or will they approach through tribal leaders and others through community policing? Do you think Iraqi police is now, because they'll be forced to defend the state, is the police force being trained for that? These are the two things I thought I'll raise.
I've appreciated the opportunity to hear about the many investments and the deep commitment to policing here in Iraq, and the types of things that you're doing. One remark I'd like to make that I think is consistent with what many of you have been saying is it's important to encourage a culture of inquiry, a culture of investigation, however you can, by partnering with academics at universities, by retaining independent management firms to assess your practices. It's easy to fall into a trap that because you're doing something, anything, that you're making progress. And it's equally important in a resource scarce environment to make sure that you're spending your dollars as effectively as you can. And I really think the only way you can accomplish that is by creating this culture of inquiry, this culture of are the things we are doing very effective, just effective, or maybe even surprisingly not at all effective, and in fact counterproductive. Rule of thumb that a former boss of mine at the Justice Department had was set aside 3% for understanding how well your practices, your investments, and your policies are working and paying off. It's a broad guideline, but it's one that, in my experience, the departments that have been the most successful in the United States to achieving significant reforms, significant improvements in relationships with the community, significant improvements in solving problems that have resulted in riots and civil unrest, are those that have opened themselves to that culture of inquiry. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like first to thank Al-Rafidin Center for my invitation here. My name is Professor Hani Akhorsheda from Jordan, Al-Bayt University, معهد بيت الحكمة, Institute of Al-Hikmah or Wisdom for Political Science. Here we are in Iraq. As an Arab, when I came to Iraq, I feel I am not an alien to Iraq because you came to the cradle of the civilization, إلى مهد الحضارة. Now allow me to speak in Arabic. يعني أنا أقدر ما تكلمتم فيه عن العراق، ولكن كنت أتمنى دراسة طبيعة المجتمع العراقي قبل أن نتكلم عن الشرطة أو الجيش. المجتمع العراقي هو مجتمع فسيفسائي ومجتمع متجانس. يعني المتحدث الأول تكلم عن minorities in Iraq. قد يكون هناك في أقليات في العراق، لكن العقل الجمعي العراقي لا يقبل مسألة الأقليات ولا يتعامل مع الآخر كأقلية، لا يتعامل معه كأقلية. ثانيا الشخصية العراقية تقوم على أشياء معينة. الشخصية العراقية إما أن يكون أديبا، شاعرا، زعيم قبيلة، كريم قوم، أو عسكري. مسألة البوليس أو الشرطة حقيقة قد تكون مستحدثة لدى العراقيين. يعني كانوا فقط يعني في السابق ما في جرائم يعني جنائية في كما يحدث الآن في الوطن العربي. لكن الذي حدث هو التيرنينج بوينت، انه after ISS IS يعني داعش عندما وجدت في العراق وسوريا، يعني أنت تتكلم عن 80 دولة، يعني بمعنى آخر تتكلم عن أكثر من 1,000,000 مرشنريز مرتزقة، وهؤلاء لم يأتوا من فراغ، يعني أتوا عن طريق كما ذكر وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. يعني أنا أحكي لك عن تجربة في الأردن، أنه تم إحراق الطيار الأردني من قبل داعش. بعد فترة التحق من منطقته أكثر من 20 فتاة وشاب في تنظيم داعش عن طريق تركيا، يعني دخلوا عن طريق تركيا إلى الرقة وإلى هذه المناطق. ثانيا هناك أبناء ألوية في الجيش ونواب وأطباء طب التحقوا بتنظيم داعش. هذا نتيجة أمرين: نتيجة الاستخدام الخاطئ للسوشيال ميديا اللي هي وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي، والمسألة الأخرى اللي هو خطاب الكراهية الذي بدأ من خلال، يعني نحن عملنا نوع من الاستبيان، وجدنا أن هناك مع كل أسف خطباء جوامع يساعدوا على خطاب الكراهية، يعني هم ليسوا فقهاء دين، هم فقط يتكلمون بأشياء. هذا أدى إلى أمور معينة. ما تكلمت عنه أنه الحوار الذي يجرى فيه اللي هو الآن معركة فكرية مع مين؟ يعني أنا أعطيكم أيضا مثال بأنه أحد المنتمين لداعش كانت المخابرات تحقق معه، والشاب طلع محترم وكويس. بعد فترة دخل لدائرة المخابرات وقتل 7 في هيدكوارتر اوف انتليجنس ان جوردن. إذن في فرق ما بين الكريمنال والتيرورست، بين الإرهابي وما بين والمجرم. المجرم ممكن يرتكب جريمة، لكن الإرهابي له هدف. فإذا ما هو العمل الذي نستطيع فيه أنه نشذب الخطاب الديني، الخطاب الكراهية الذي لا يميز؟ يعني الخطاب الديني، أنا اسمح لي، أنا أكره المذهبية، ما يحدث هو مذهبية سياسية، أنا سني، لكن أنا في نظر بعض يعني الأخوان المسلمين أنا لست مسلما، لأنه مني مربي لحية ومني محني لحيتي ومني حاط عطر باكستاني. إذن it's a big problem. فإذا مسألة البوليس العراقي هي بحاجة أنه مسألة، يعني أنا لا أتدخل، لأنه نحن لا نعلم الجيش العراقي كيف يتصرف. هذا الجيش الذي قدم الشهداء في كل الأراضي العربية وفي كل منطقة عربية. والعراقي بالمناسبة أحب أحكي شيء بليز، العراقي لا يعرف الحقد. العراقي قد يجرح ولكنه لا يحقد، وسيد القوم من لا يحمل الحقد. فهؤلاء هم أهل الحضارة وسيبقوا أهل الحضارة، شاء من شاء وأبى من أبى، وبغداد ستبقى، وبغداد ستبقى، شاء من شاء وأبى من أبى. وبعدين لبس العقل قبل بعض الناس ما يعرفوا يلبس العقل. Thank you very much if I took something wrong, but it's the fact. I have trust really in Iraq. When I visit Karbala and Najaf, I feel what's the meaning of the people, what's the meaning of personality of Iraq. Please read al-Wardi, please read Badr Shakir Sayyab, and after that say whatever about Iraq. Thank you very much.
We have a question here. Keep mind, we only have 10 minutes, so short question.
السلام عليكم. اللواء ياسين هادي، مدير عام الموارد البشرية وزارة الداخلية. الأمن ووزارة الداخلية والإصلاح الإداري والأمني. لدي مداخلتين، واحدة حول الموضوع لوزارة الداخلية، والمداخلة الثانية بشكل عام حول الإصلاح الأمني والإرهاب. ابتداء من استقطاب العناصر وآلية الاستقطاب والشفافية التي ترافق عملية الاستقطاب، بالحقيقة كانت مطبقة تماما، بعضها يخص دائرتي كمديرية عامة الموارد البشرية، وبعضها يخص الأكاديميات والمعهد العالي للتطوير الأمني. التدريب والدورات والمناهج موضوع يخص الأكاديميين والأخوة الجالسين أمامي. العدد والاختصاصات حسب حاجة الوزارة ومتمثلة بآراء السادة الوكلاء والمدراء العامين وحسب الظروف المحيطة الماضية أو المستجدة. بشكل عام هاي الفكرة. الفكرة الثانية، الأمن والتحديات الموجودة ومسؤولية وزارة الداخلية. بالحقيقة هو الإنسان يجب أن يمر بمراحل التربية والتنشئة الاجتماعية والهندسة الإنسانية حاليا. أنا أتساءل أنه الإرهاب هل مر بهذه المراحل؟ هل هنالك تنشئة اجتماعية، تربية؟ والتربية احنا نعرفها فكر وقيم وسلوك اجتماعي. وأين تربى وماذا وراء ذلك؟ وهل الإرهاب هو لا يوجد تعريف محدد للإرهاب لحد الآن. بشكل عام مو داخل العراق أنه الإرهاب قد يكون فكرة ينادي بها سين من الناس يناقضه تماما صاد من الآخرين. الإرهاب الحالي الموجود إذا خسر المعركة تحول إلى فساد. فالموضوع يعني لو نحلل الموضوع نفسيا واجتماعيا وسياسيا، هل الإرهاب يعني هو إحباط، نتيجة إحباط أو نتيجة نرجسية يحس بها الفرد؟ هل هو الموضوع أكو جهات أخرى خارجة عن الجهة المحلية الموجودة وانبنى الإرهاب لأغراض مصلحة خاصة، كأن يكون وجود النفط في العراق هو أسباب للإرهاب؟ تساؤلات بحاجة إلى إجابة. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the presentations. I'm from the EU Advisory Mission here in Iraq. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission, Benny Jensen. I have 40 years of experience in policing from Denmark. So we have an advisory mission here. Usually, most of our tasks is to support the Iraqi implementation of the National Security Strategy and the SSR program. And it's purely focusing on the civilian aspects of the security sector, but that mainly means MOI. And you can see we have all the high-level counterparts here. And good to see the Iraqi involvement in this conference. One point from our side is that there are actually, when I look at the presentations, there are a lot of those international lessons learned or important points that are in the Iraqi strategic documents as focus points, be it the National Security Strategy, the SSR program, or the MOI strategic planning documents where we work on a daily basis to advise on. The EU mission was invited by the government 2017, and we are right now double-sizing the mission to support the security sector program. One very important point addressed here that we see as a gap to support effective policing is the data collection. The effective policing based on evidence, research, and so ever. So the databases mentioned here, be it criminal statistics, to support the strategic decisions for the way forward. And we are very happy to say that the constructive support both we got from the government, from MOI, from the National Security Advisory. So we are pleased to serve here and support the Iraqi ownership, understanding the local context before we start giving our advice from international experts. So thank you very much for that. And I think there will be a lot from our experience that we could link up with Rand and you guys also. So we will be happy to cooperate with you also, and looking forward to the support to the Iraqi counterpart. Thank you.
So,
Okay.
oh, good. Okay.
Okay, one asked for a presentation again. No, but my name, Benny Jensen, from Denmark. I'm the deputy head of mission for the EU mission here in Iraq. Thank you.
شكرا للسيد بيني. حقيقة يعني فعلا سيد بيني داعم إلى يعني جهاز الشرطة والأجهزة التحقيق، وكنا نعمل على مشروع مسودة الإجراءات القياسية الآن بدعم من UNDP. طبعا هذا مشروع كبير أنجز، قريبا يتم توزيعه على كافة الضباط. الآن فيما يتعلق بسؤال الدكتور حسن عن الأدلة الجنائية، في كل محافظة عندنا مديرية للأدلة الجنائية تعمل على تحتوي على كافة الأجهزة. لدينا 3 مراكز مهمة كبيرة في بغداد بالأدلة الجنائية، حتى مختبرات DNA والأدلة الرقمية. عندنا معهد خاص بالأدلة الجنائية مرتبط بالأخ الدكتور ياسر، معهد تدريب بالأدلة الجنائية متطور، حتى مع DNA يتعاملون. غذيناهم بمشاركة بدورات كبيرة بأستراليا والإمارات والأردن. لا زالت الدورات مستمرة في إعداد مدربين بالأدلة الجنائية. الأدلة الجنائية وصلت مرحلة التدريب بها للمستوى الأخير، بحيث ما نحتاج إلى أي تدريب بالوقت الحاضر إلا للي هم يلتحقون جدد. فيما يتعلق بثقافة التحقيق، احنا ذكرنا مسودة الإجراءات القياسية. بدينا ندخل ضباط التحقيق بالمعهد القضائي. تعرفون حضراتكم المعهد القضائي اللي يعد القضاة ونواب الادعاء العام. بدأوا ضباط التحقيق يشاركون. السنة الماضية يعني هاي قبل أشهر خرجنا 43 ضابط من معهد القضائي. طبعا كل ضباطنا الآن رؤيتنا في وزارة الداخلية كانت لعام 2018 إعداد مدربين. استفادينا من الفرص من الداعمين الدوليين. حقيقة كان هناك 3 دورات رئيسية معنية بإعداد المدربين نظموها الFBI من وزارة العدل الأميركية. هذه ساعدت على أكثر من 50 مدرب بالجريمة المنظمة ومسرح الجريمة. أدخلنا 30 امرأة من المعهد النسوي ضابطات بدورة مسرح الجريمة الإرهابي. طبعا هذا الموضوع كلش مهم، لأنه بدأت الشرطة النسوية تعمل على مسرح الجريمة الإرهابي. دورتين قبل شهر تخرجن لمكافحة المتفجرات من العنصر النسوي من كل المحافظات. هذا العنصر النسوي بدأ يدخل بقضايا مسرح الجريمة والتحقيق. للإجابة على سؤال الأخ الإعلامي من تركيا، ذكر أنه اليوم وصل تحدث عن المدرعات. احنا طبعا وفي وزارة الداخلية أو من أولى مهامنا الآن هي تحويل المهام القتالية إلى مهام إنفاذ القانون. تعرفون حضراتكم المراحل القتالية استوجبت أن تشارك بها الشرطة الاتحادية وقوات الرد السريع لإرهاب داعش، والآن بدت من أولى مهامنا ضمن استراتيجية وزارة الداخلية أنه تكون مهام إنفاذ قانون. شكرا جزيلا.
We are just about out of time. I want to give the final word to our speakers and maybe start with Dr. Hassan.
Thank you so much. Highly appreciate this opportunity. Just one final point. One is we have to learn from the global practices because there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Many of the things that you're doing, many other states have gone through it. If I have to make one final suggestion, I would argue Ministry of Interior should send your police officers to local schools. It should not be on the street that a kid sees a police officer. They get to know the police and start respecting it if they are taught this in schools. Also encourage your universities to start police studies so that you're not getting recruits in your police academies who are learning about law and police for the first time. But your universities are producing people who are interested in police and law enforcement and legal issues. And that can be raised at the highest level. Just want to, at the end, recognize one report that helped me understand my framework. It's called Making Victory Count After Defeating ISIS. The author of the report is sitting right here, Linda Robinson. Just wanted to recognize her work in that. Thank you so much.
I also would like to express my thanks for the opportunity to be here today. It's very heartening to hear all of the good things that are happening and all of the progress that's being made on policing here in Iraq. I want to end my remarks on responding to a comment that Benny made on the issue of data. If you solve the issue of data in policing, you will be the first police force in the world to do it. It is a tremendously complicated issue. In the part of the United States that I grew up in, outside of Detroit, Michigan, well into the 1990s and even the early 2000s, the Detroit Police Department had no computerization and recorded all information on index cards about this size. As you might imagine, the inability to access data, to collate data, to examine data, because it was stored in a very inefficient format, was a tremendous problem that affected the performance of the Detroit Police Department. They've managed to overcome that with investment both from the municipality but also from foundations and other institutions that had an interest in stability and performance of the police in Detroit. There's no one roadmap to getting there with respect to data here in Iraq, but I'd be happy and delighted to continue the conversation because I think it's very important. So thank you.
And I just want to thank again the Rafadain Center and to all of you for your comments and questions. It was, we learned a great deal from you. It's a pleasure to be in Iraq with such a distinguished group. Thank you.